Today I have the distinct pleasure of presenting what I think is the very first full-featured online demo from an iPad in our industry, at least that I've ever seen. Everything you're going to see here is coming solely from my iPad, which is being shared with hundreds of you online. Here, I'll even pull up my desktop so you can see that I am indeed running on my personal iPad. And now that you've sort of seen behind the curtain, I'm going to start the full screen slideshow, which I'm going to tell you more about in a few minutes. In fact, I'm going to show you a list of mission critical tools that should allow you to run your whole business from your iPad. I'm going to cover the basics as well as some advanced topics, so there should be something for everyone. Now, I always like to start my presentations with what I consider to be the takeaway points. These are a handful of ideas that I'm hoping you'll take away from this presentation, even if nothing else sticks. As you learn more about the iPad today, please keep in mind these core concepts, since I think they're really important. Now, the first is get to the cloud. So I started my career in commercial real estate technology back in the 90s when I created Aries for ACT. Aries was a desktop contact manager for brokers that piggybacked on top of ACT. And it came to market when the concept of using a computer was actually considered a novel idea. In fact, part of my sales pitch involved convincing lots of people that they needed to computerize their business to stay competitive. Now, I know this may sound silly now, but it's absolutely true. And I can tell you that I had some naysayers. These were the people who didn't want to change the way they worked and could find 100 reasons why using a computer would hurt their business instead of help it. And needless to say, anyone who didn't evolve back then isn't around today. Embracing computers was a really big challenge for our industry, and it represented a big shift in the way that we do business. Today, we're experiencing another big paradigm shift, which is the move from the desktop to the cloud. In the next 12 to 24 months, everything you use will be web-based. I cannot urge you strongly enough that you should not invest in any desktop software for which there is a viable online alternative. If your business revolves around the use of a specific computer or some server back in your office, then you're suffering from what I call legacy technology anchors. And until you break those chains and migrate your business online, then you can't implement any of the productivity gains you're going to see today. Worse yet, your business is at risk since you're not keeping pace with the changes in technology and our industry. Your productivity will suffer, your income will drop, and your competition will simply pass you by. Make it a priority to find all the ways you could move your business to the cloud and then act upon that as soon as possible. Being mobile is better. Well, being in the cloud is great, but being mobile is even better. And so what's the difference? Well, I could move my entire business online, but still not be capable of doing business outside my office. Being mobile means that your cloud-based business can follow you wherever you go because you're able to tap into it through web-enabled hardware like an iPad. The trade-off with eliminating all those productivity-killing technology anchors is that you have to maintain access to the cloud. Invest in whatever it takes to keep you connected in the field, at home, during property tours, or wherever you need to do business. You can never have too much bandwidth, but you can certainly have too little. Your productivity will explode, your client service will increase, and your ability to build your business will be easier than you probably ever thought possible. All it takes is to embrace the right mobile device, like an iPad, and ensure that you're always connected to the right cloud-based tools. And I'm going to show you our top picks for those tools in a few minutes. My last point here is simplify everything. Nobody wants to make their life more complicated. Yet for years I've seen people try to implement software or hardware that was way more than they needed. Technology is the one place where you don't want to overbuy, since the whole goal here is to make your life easier and make you more productive. And the business tools you use need to serve you every day, all day. I remember back in my Aries for ACT days that my product probably had 300 fields of information. We actually expected people to populate all those fields. I'll bet we had 500 reports. We offered 2-day training classes. It was crazy. But back then, the more buttons, links, and options that could be crammed onto one screen, the better. I look at a lot of legacy desktop software that's still around today, and I don't even know where to start. The core value of these tools was lost a long time ago in unnecessary complexity that you just can't dig out of. The point here is that complexity, more than anything, kills your productivity. And you need all the productivity you can get to build your business. I've spent enough time in our industry to know that, with a few exceptions, none of you will ever invest any time in training. It doesn't matter if you're using a new CRM or a phone. You don't read manuals and you don't have the patience for a training class. Realize this about yourself and make technology choices based on your threshold for implementation. The good news is that smart software and hardware designers now make their tools even easier to adopt. Simple is the new high tech. At my company, ClientLook, as an example, we go to great lengths to make sure every aspect of our cloud CRM is as intuitive as possible. Now, Apple really set the bar here, and they're leading the way with the iPad in its ease of use. But you need to simplify every aspect of your business. Everything you're going to see today is simple. And in fact, using a device like the iPad forces you to take a simple approach to your business. And this is a very good thing for most of you. Take a look at every piece of technology you use and ask yourself whether there's an easier way to do things. If so, then make changes now. The good news is that your returns will be immediate. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, why an iPad? Do I really need one? First off, let me assure you that I have absolutely no stake in causing you to buy an iPad. Full disclosure though, I am an Apple stockholder, but even if hundreds of you run out and buy an iPad, it's not going to affect my investment. Well, let me give you a few thoughts along these lines though. The truth is that any web-enabled tablet is probably okay and will provide a lot of the same benefits that you're going to see here. Of course, there are some powerful apps that are Apple only though. In my case, I use an iPad 2, that's last year's model, with 16 gigabytes of memory. That's the lower end model with an AT&T data plan. When it comes to buying an iPad or other tablet, I would suggest that you get one that offers a data plan through one of the mobile carriers. This is because you're going to need online access in places where there's no Wi-Fi. I was talking with Chuck here at ClientLook a couple of days ago, and he was telling me that he has these awesome speakers with a built-in amplifier. He plugs them directly into his iPad for rock concert-like acoustics. And it occurred to me that each of us has a sort of internal meter that gauges our relative level of productivity throughout the day. It goes up, it goes down. The average person will have times when they're really productive, like when they're in the office or with clients and their productivity levels are off the chart. Then there are other times that they're not so productive and their productivity is low. Using an iPad in the business world is sort of like having your own portable amplifier that's constantly revving up your productivity. It allows you to be more productive with your clients, and it fills in the gaps to help you stay productive when you're out of the office. It offers one of the easiest ways, I think, to make the best use of your time all the time. According to Wikipedia, highest and best use is defined as the probable use that produces the highest property value. Now, we're all familiar with this term in our industry. Just like a property, I believe that we all have a highest and best use in our business lives. And I introduced this concept last month during our virtual assistant webinar, and it has direct application in our discussion today. By using an iPad, in my opinion, you are far, far more likely to achieve your highest and best use. That is, the state in which you are most consistently productive and capable of making money. Without one, you could be at a competitive disadvantage. Now let's talk about the role of an iPad as a commercial real estate tool. As of October of this year, there are more than 275,000 iPad apps available. So there's no way I could do justice to the broad array of tools available. Instead, My approach is to demonstrate how you can use an iPad to run your business, how you can become a mobile broker with your entire office at your fingertips. And for this, I'm going to show you 5 key technology capabilities that I think are necessary to make this transition. So my apologies if I fail to point out some killer app that you think is the greatest thing in the world. We'll focus on those another time. Today, I'm going to show you how to use your iPad to create and deliver presentations in order to win business, to handle all your email communication, to manage all your files with complete access to every report and offer, letter, and more, to conduct property research to generate surveys, access comps, and more in the field, and to manage your contacts, your calendar, and projects through CRM. By satisfying these core technology needs, you should have everything required to do business anywhere with anyone using your iPad. Let's get started. Let's start with presentations, which are one of the most fundamental aspects of our business. You need to make presentations in order to win business. And using an iPad, you can create and deliver presentations that are similar to those on your computer. And don't think everyone needs to huddle around your screen either. I bought a $29 Apple adapter from my iPad that allows me to plug into any projector, which works great. So when I give presentations, all I need is my iPad. One thing I'll tell you is that presenting in this way is still a novelty, meaning that your clients will probably think it's really cool. You definitely make an impression since iPad presentations imply a certain level of technical expertise that certainly bodes well for your credibility. Fortunately, using your iPad for presentations is super easy. The presentation you've been watching was created entirely on my iPad. Now, I cheated a little bit since I did sync an existing PowerPoint presentation template through iTunes from my computer. It contained my company logo that you see down there and some graphics that are along the top. But other than that, I added everything directly on my iPad. I use the Apple Bluetooth keyboard to make things easier typing-wise, and that's a really great add-on if you don't have one. The software that I'm using is called Keynote, and it's made by Apple. Here, I'll stop my slideshow for a minute and give you a look. You'll see my slides along the left in a layout that's highly intuitive. You can download Keynote from the App Store for $10. It's similar to Microsoft PowerPoint, but a lot simpler. It will even open your existing PowerPoint presentations so you can bring all those over as templates if you wanted to. Now I'll start the slideshow again here. And you'll notice that when I'm presenting, the iPad uses as much of the external monitor as possible, so you won't see the iPad border as you did for a minute there when you're doing your actual presentation. Now I'm sure there are other great presentation apps available. I bought Keynote early on. It's very inexpensive and I've been happy with it. I had been a PowerPoint user for 10 years. And there were lots of menus and features that I'd never even explored. And by comparison, I think I learned everything about Keynote by building my first presentation, and I never had any instruction. This is the type of business tool you need, one that's simple, even if it compromises on fancy features. Believe me, you won't miss them. Now that you understand how to do presentations, let's talk about using your iPad for email communication. This may sound like a sort of no-brainer topic, but I'm always surprised by the people who don't fully understand how it all works. And since email connectivity in the field is so important, we want to make sure we cover this. Here's what a sample email account looks like on the iPad. One thing you may be asking yourself right off the bat is, what's the difference between the email I see here and the email I get on my phone? And basically nothing. These are the exact same messages. One advantage, however, is that since you have more screen real estate here, you can actually view attachments, which isn't always practical with your phone. So files like PDFs will show up inline like this one here within the message itself. And you can zoom with your fingers, that you obviously can't see me doing, but it works great. Now I can view attachments really easily and respond to those emails. I'm more productive. Other files, like Word documents and spreadsheets, will appear as standard attachments at the bottom of the message. In that case, you just tap the attachment to open it. Your iPad has a basic viewer with most file types, and there are lots of third-party apps that allow you to edit Microsoft Office documents. So if that's important to you, then find one in the App Store. Another basic concept to understand here is that you can connect your iPad to any email accounts you have. For example, if I click on the little button in the upper left corner, I see all the mailboxes that are connected to my iPad. I have a couple of our corporate Google Apps accounts. I have my personal Gmail account. I could connect anything I want through Yahoo, Hotmail, Microsoft Exchange, or whatever. The point is that in addition to providing access to your corporate email, your iPad can connect to your personal accounts too. Plus, email that you open, reply to, or delete here is mirrored in your other email programs, even your phone. So if you use Outlook back at the office, you'll see the same messages appear in both places. It's all connected. One limitation here is that you can't attach files to your emails. With iOS 6, you can now attach photos and videos, but not files. There are a couple of workarounds, though. For example, in Keynote, the Apple presentation app we talked about, you can email a presentation out. Apple has similar programs for word processing and spreadsheets that allow the same thing. The trick is that you have to compose these files in those apps on your iPad in order to do this. When we talk about file management next, I'll show you another cool workaround, too. Please keep in mind that just like your phone, you'll need internet access to send and receive emails. You can create new emails here offline that are held until you connect again. So even if you're offline, when you connect, those emails will get sent up. And remember that if you find the iPad keyboard at all compromising, then opt for Apple's Bluetooth keyboard or some of the third-party ones that are out there. It really made a difference to me. Now let's talk about file management, which really means having access to all your saved stuff. Traditionally, most people keep files on the hard drive of some computer or on a server back at the office, but there are some great tools today that allow you to create a big hard drive in the sky that's suitable for all your files. The most prevalent ones include Dropbox, Box.com, Microsoft SkyDrive, and Google Drive. And here at ClientLook, we use Google Drive since we use Google Apps corporately. So that's what I'll be showing you. But they all pretty much work the same. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, but file management is a really important part of your mobile office, so make sure you pick something. Now, on my iPad, I've installed the Google Drive app, which I keep down on my desktop there, which I'll show you here. As a company, this is where we go to find our shared pool of files. It works like any old file server running in your office. The difference here is that these files are all stored in the cloud and sync to any destinations I want to connect, like my office computer or home computer. The point with this is that no matter where I am, I have access to all my files through my iPad. That doesn't mean I'm going to try to edit them necessarily, but I can access them. So if I'm in a meeting with a client, I can refer to a document or a report that's stored on my cloud drive. You don't have to remember to lug everything you think you might need like you did in the past. All of the iPad file management apps share the same basic structure. They allow you to create folders like this demo folder here at the top, and set up sharing rights for everything. But with Google Drive, at least, there's one difference that I like. Here I can create new documents. So remember when we were talking about email management and I said it was difficult to email a file? Well, here you can create files natively in Google Drive as a Google Doc and then share that file within this interface. You can even create reusable document templates. So basically, that means that you could sit down with your client in a Starbucks and your iPad, create an offer, and then email it out. Again, using an iPad is all about mobile productivity. Access to files is an integral piece of the puzzle, but fortunately, the apps that are out there do a pretty good job of keeping you connected. You just need to choose one. So now you're out with a client, and they have some questions about some properties that aren't part of your tour. Maybe they're interested in asking rates or the tenants or maybe comps. Regardless, wouldn't it be great if you could answer any questions they might throw at you right there on the spot? Well, all you need in order to do this is access to one of the mobile property research apps that are sweeping our industry today. Apps from companies like CoStar, LoopNet, and Xceligent. They put everything you ever needed to know about your market right in your iPad, and they're simple to use. Now, for this presentation, I did some testing on the new Xceligent iPad app called Explore, which I'll pull up for you here. Now, these property research apps just amaze me. It's incredible to see so much interactive detail in one screen, and the results are fast, which makes it really easy to jump from property to property. Now, admittedly, I don't have a lot of experience with apps like this because I'm not out there chasing deals, but if I was, I don't see how I could compete without something like this. Now, here's the Denver marketplace, for example, in Xceligent, and you can see the little pins marking all the properties. Now, one of the great things with Xceligent that I discovered is your subscription is national. So you can do exactly what I'm doing here in any market they cover across the US. But let me point out some of the features that I thought were really cool. The first is that this product is locationally aware and that it always knows where I am because of my iPad's GPS system. So if you simply pull it up and turn it on, it's going to instantly show you the buildings that surround you, which is perfect for the type of client meeting I described. Like I said, though, you can navigate anywhere in this app, so I picked Denver, Colorado. Now, on the right here is a menu that allows you to filter the results you're seeing. Now, by default, you get everything, but let's say I only want buildings that were, let's say, built after the year 2000. So I click Save here, and obviously you can see it significantly limits the properties that I'm shown. I can easily reset that by choosing Reset and Save, and my old results are displayed again. Now, if I'm interested in any one property, I just tap a pin, and I see a pop-up appear with a snapshot of the property details along with the availability, whether it's for lease or for sale. Now I can drill down to even more details on the property too. Now here I see a variety of different tabs along the bottom. I see the Overview tab. The Property tab shows me all the details about the entire building. I can see all the availability, suite by suite, in the Listings tab. I can get an overview of the various tenants. I can see any comps, transactions that have occurred on the property there in the Comps tab. I know all the contacts, the lease listings, recorded owner, property manager. I can see analytics and even demographics showing a 135-mile radius of information around the property. So let's say that this property interests your clients and you want to send a report. Just click this little icon up here and away you go. So I'll choose the Brochure Basic and I'm going to run the report. Now this app does a nice job of solving one of the problems I told you about with iPad email. You see here that you can email this document with the little email button, or you can even add it to Dropbox. You can do everything you need without leaving your iPad. Now there are lots of features that I'm leaving out here in the interest of time, but here's the bottom line. Property research is one of the most important components of your business and your success. This valuable intelligence should not be relegated to access solely in your office. You need this stuff in the field and on your iPad. If you don't have an iPad yet, this is one of the best reasons to invest in one now. It should be pretty obvious from my Xceligent example here of how big a difference this can actually make. Now you've learned how to use your iPad to deliver presentations, to send emails, organize your files, and access property research. Managing your contacts, your calendar, and projects is the final piece of what I consider the perfect suite of CRE tools for your iPad. At one time or another, I'm sure you've all used a CRM, which, by the way, is the new term for a contact manager. Programs like ACT or Aries for ACT and even Outlook to some extent provided contact management or CRM features. But anything on the desktop is dead these days. In order to use an iPad to run your business, you need everything in the cloud. According to Nucleus Research out of Boston, simply choosing a CRM that features mobile and social capabilities increases productivity by 26%. There are fewer ways to get this kind of return by making a simple technology choice, but this shouldn't be surprising. If you're using a desktop system now, then you really can't fully commit to an iPad. It's just another reason to move to the cloud. To demonstrate the power of a CRM on your iPad, I'm going to show you ClientLook, which I will pop up here in Google Chrome. Now, ClientLook takes a different approach currently when it comes to the iPad. We've designed our app to run in a browser instead of as a native iPad or iPhone app. We did this primarily because we didn't want people to use one app on the iPad and then another version of ClientLook on their computer. Remember the challenges about training and simplicity we discussed. By making everything iPad compatible in a browser, we're able to deliver a super simple experience that's exactly the same, no matter which device you use. Plus, we accommodate those people who may be using other non-iPad tablets. Like a regular app, though, ClientLook is meant to provide you access to your cloud-based data through your iPad. In this case, it's access to your contact data, your calendar, and even the projects that you're working on. The screen you see here gives you a complete picture of everything I've described. You see your clients' phone numbers in the upper left corner there, their email addresses, street address, and more. You can add custom fields. You can also see the ongoing history of everything you've ever discussed in the Updates tab. This is a chronological summary of the manual updates you've added, like the outcomes of meetings and things like that, or the phone calls you've made, your completed activities and tasks, and your emails. Adding something new on your iPad is easy. So when you come out of a meeting, you can log the details and even schedule a follow-up. It's important that whatever CRM you choose integrates with your email, though. But that can be tricky from an iPad perspective. Here's how it works in ClientLook, though. All you need to do is tap on an email address that you see on screen. I'm going to tap one of the email addresses over here on the left. The iPad email system should appear as you see here with our Robert Taylor and our demo account here. So I'll add a subject and I'll add a body of my message. Now normally you'd click send and away the email would go. But in ClientLook you can do one other simple step. By adding a BCC address that I've saved in my address book, I can not only send this email to George Adams, my recipient, but also connect it to his record back in ClientLook. So I'm going to click send, and away it goes. Now back in ClientLook, we see my email appear under the Updates tab for George Adams. George, I want to set up a time to discuss some changes in the market. ClientLook offers this exact same feature with its projects too. Each project has its own email address, shown here in the middle of the screen, that allows you to easily organize every email you send around your assignments. It eliminates the need to manually manage your email in folders or with special labels, and it's the perfect solution for the iPad. One other important criteria for your CRM selection should be integration with your iPad's native calendar and address book. In ClientLook, your contacts and calendar data can sync directly with your iPad, your phone, with Outlook, or whatever you want to connect. This means that all of your devices and software share the same information, and that changes made anywhere sync throughout your technology tools. This is important because the last thing you want is a different calendar or a different list of people in your phone or iPad. Everything should be the same, and the process should be simple. So let me give you the highlights of everything we discussed. Our focus today was how to use your iPad to run your business. Hopefully you saw the benefits of getting to the cloud now, why being mobile is better, and the importance of simplifying everything. You now know the basics of using your iPad for presentations, and you saw how I used Apple Keynote to run this entire webinar. It was easy. We went through an overview of how to use Apple Mail, which is the iPad's native email app for managing all of your correspondence. I demonstrated how you manage all of your email accounts together, and we even discussed some of the email limitations like attach files. I demonstrated how you could manage all your email accounts together, and we even discussed some of the email limitations like attaching files. I showed you our corporate Google Drive to demonstrate how we manage files here in the cloud at ClientLook. The goal is to have access to everything you need wherever you are through your iPad. Now, there are a number of viable file management options, so you just need to choose one. We did some basic property research and created a report using Explore by Xceligent. You saw how you could use your iPad anywhere to access property, tenant, and comp data for all of Xceligent's research markets through their nationwide plan. Research data is a critical field tool for your iPad. And lastly, you saw how you can manage all your contacts, your calendar, and projects using ClientLook CRM. ClientLook runs through any browser and works on any mobile device, so it's the perfect solution for your iPad. And it's aligned with your goals of simplicity and being in the cloud. Plus, it syncs with your iPad and even attaches all your emails to your database contacts as well. Well, that's it. I'm Michael Griffin, and I want to thank you for joining us today. I hope you'll participate in our next technology webinar for commercial real estate. Until then, have a wonderful day and good luck in the cloud.